I wanted to do a quick video on this to show you how I do it, because I know that just reading a text about how to do this can be a bit confusing, also because it is a quite common problem for beginner riggers, how to make something dependent on rotation of a wheel that will keep on rotating. And the first instinct is always, as you had, to just cheat the rotation of the wheel, but this will cause problems with motion blur. Trust me, I've tried. So, um, yeah, you gave me the rotations of 30 and 120. I'm not quite sure what you're trying to do, if you try to turn the light on whenever a certain point of the wheel hits the ground, or what exactly you're doing. But I'm just going to use those values to show you it doesn't really matter all that much with this method, because it's very interactive. So instead of using a light, because I don't want to set up a light and I don't want to use rendering to show if it works or not, I'm just going to create a locator and I'm going to key the visibility of it to signify the light turning on and off. So I'm going to create a locator here. I'm going to actually quickly go into the attribute editor, go into the drawing overrides and make it red. Just so it's a bit more visible when I haven't selected it. And I'm moving this out here so I see it. And I'm also going to parent it to the cylinder, because most objects that depend on a wheel turning are connected to the wheel. So I'm just gonna connect it to the wheel as well here. Good. Now, what you need to make sure of is that you are in your animation toolset. So go into your animation toolset and go into key set, driven key set. As you can see, I already have my locator selected, so it is already here loaded in as the driven object, which I want, and then I'm selecting my cylinder in the outliner and I load it as the driver. And I also gonna switch to the channel box here so you can see my values more easily. Good. Now, the first thing I want to do, I want this to be turned off at 0 degrees to 29 degrees. Then I want it to be turned on from 30 degrees to 119 degrees. And I want it to switch off at 120 degrees and stay switched off for the rest of the rotation. So I'm gonna use my rotate C. That's my driving value. I'm gonna select the locator, which you can do in this window, which is pretty handy. As you can see in the channel box, it switched to the locator, and I'm gonna turn the visibility to off. As you can see, it turned off now, and I'm just selecting the visibility and I'm hitting key. So it keys my value there. Then I select my cylinder again. I rotate in C to 29 degrees. And I key it again, because that's the last point I want my locator to be invisible. Then I'm turning it at 30 degrees. I'm selecting my locator again, and I'm switching visibility on. So as you can see, the locator switched on again. I'm just giving it the key. Now the last value where I want it to be on the rotation, so I selected the cylinder again, is 119. So I'm just gonna key this again, because I want it to be visible here again. Now, then I go to 120, and I'm gonna switch to my locator, and I'm turning the visibility off, and I'm keying it. Now, the great thing about set-driven keys is that you can use them like normal animation. So I'm going to my window with my locator selected, window animation editor, graph editor, and I can see the animation curve I made on my set-driven key. Now at the moment, it turns off and on again for one single rotation correctly, because I just wanted to stay turned off the rest of the rotation. But if I want to cycle this, I need one more keyframe, and that keyframe needs to be at 360 degrees. So I'm selecting my cylinder again, and I'm going to 360, and I'm keying it as an invisible again. So now when I switch to my locator again, as you can see, I have one more keyframe here at 360 degrees. Now in order to make this cycle, because right now I have the same problem as you do, which is I rotate this, it turns visible at, oh sorry, yeah, let me go to 0 here. It turns visible at 30, it turns invisible at 120. When I turn it around once more to a multiple, it's not turned on, even though it should be right now. So that can be fixed quite easily. I just select my locator, so I see my animation curve. I select the animation curve, and I'm just going to curves pre-infinity cycle and curves post-infinity cycle. As you can see, I now have the same animation curve in intervals of 360 degrees. And as you can see, my wheel is turned in this direction. My locator is turned on, even though I'm on a value of 417 degrees. So now if I rotate this, you will see at each point the locator turns on, and then it turns off again at the same point again. So yeah, that's a quick video on how to do this, and I hope it helps.